Child, why are you always falling? Why are you always running? There's nothing for you here. Why keep running?
What now lies in wait to be discovered in the tales of D'aowVern?
Hello, strangers and friends, and welcome back to Tales of D'aowVern. The Strangers Guild has been on a bit of a hiatus for a little bit, but right now we are back and ready to play. And some of y'all might have seen Sabrina's session yesterday, where we saw Nordia Thornwood experience a little bit of the fallback, the takeaway from the last few sessions. It has been a few weeks. But we're back in it, and there's been a lot of updates. We are right back in it. My name is Caleb Levard. For those of you who don't know, I am the DM of this lovely group. You can see all of their socials here. I would like to bring focus, though, to the one and only Icarus. If you would like to introduce yourself and your character, by all means, go ahead.
I would love to. Oh, it's been a while. Hello, my name is Icarus. I am playing Dianthus, who is a drow death domain cleric, and he's been through a lot, and we're gonna put him through more, aren't we?
We're going to put him through quite a bit. I'm not going to lie to you. So, Dianthus.
What's up?
It's been a couple nights since a lot more social interaction than you've had in decades, I think it's safe to say.
I would safe to say ever.
It's safe to say ever.
Ever.
How do you start your morning, typically?
I believe typically, it depends. If I have patients down here, the first thing I do in the morning is attend to them. But if there's no one down here and I have no one to go see, then I think I take my time just straightening things, cleaning things in my little abode. So given that I'm sure Emerus is still down here, my first step in the morning after I come out of my trance would be to check on him, see how he's doing.
Gotcha. And for those of you who don't remember, could you explain what your trance looks like?
Yeah, so I believe that when he has his armor on, the armor goes away because he's no longer in a concentration. But he will go to the center of the room, which is like a kind of a mausoleum, essentially, underneath the church. He goes to the center of this room, will kneel and close his eyes, though no one would be able to tell, and sleeps for around 8 hours. He rests. And in that time, if death specifically ever tries to come out and communicate with them, that is normally the time that happens, is when they are trancing.
In your trance, Dianthus, can you give me a charisma saving throw with advantage?
Here we go. I'm not good with charisma.
And for those of you who might be like, well, that's not fair, Sabrina didn't get advantage, I will explain why with the result of the roll.
That is a 19 minus 1 for an 18.
Just because I'm curious, what was the other die?
The other dice was a 7, so that would have been a 6.
Okay. Because specifically for this, each of the 4 players have very different relationships with sleep, with death, with time, with their minds, both in the waking material realm as well as the dream and fae realm specifically. Dianthus, though, ever since magic has reawoken, you felt, even now more than ever, the presence of something cold around you. Pretty much at any given moment, it's pretty much the same. It's like walking into a cave, or the space that your workshop is, where you deal with your patients and everything. That is a cold, and it's a clean place because it needs to be.
Correct.
But that feeling of foreboding seems to have been kind of at the back of your mind ever since Bianca showed up in that tour.
Yeah.
And that's because Dianthus, pretty much every time you come out of your trance, you feel a little bit like you're being observed. And this morning's no different. And sometimes you feel as if, even with your eyes closed, you can perceive someone in your space with you. And most of the time, you go into this trance and you wake up and there's nothing there. But today, for a moment, sitting roughly 10 feet in front of you, is a familiar ivory figure that is mirroring your pose. And if they shared the same lineage, it would be very difficult to tell them apart from yourself. Very white skin, but they sit across from you and just stare.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
It's been many a millennia since I have shared in pleasure. However, I was curious, and I had a feeling that you were in trouble. So I sat and I waited for you.
Do I seem in trouble now?
No. And as you kind of look around, you notice that there are torch marks on the floor and on the walls of your room. But different to how Bianca and Hemlock left fiery black ash marks,
Yeah.
the burns on the floor and on the wall are white, as if you can tell it was an intense heat that in your sleep. Do you think Dianthus has been physically burned before?
Ooh. I don't think so. I can't imagine there ever being a scenario, to his memory, of that happening.
Gotcha. Dianthus, on a 19, I will say that in sitting across from this figure, as he opens his eyes to you, you see yourself, but not in a reflection. You see a Dianthus meditating in a trance, but completely inflamed. A hot white and blue had threatened to overtake you last night. And in the middle of this room, as you sit there, you are pulled into the eyes of this familiar figure. Not in a threatening way, not in a way that was as forceful as it was with Yarrow or when Bianca sent you through that portal the first time, but more of like a memory being shared. And you see a visual of, even though, Dianthus, you're on fire, your skin and your clothes remain unharmed. You do see that parts of the floor begin to brighten and polish, almost as if glass in an urn in a furnace is being heated. But just as quickly as the fire envelops and encapsulates you, Dianthus. Death, once again, steps out, and you see that he grabs, to your naked eye, seems to be nothing. But in a split second, you see a man in egregiously dark, like obsidian is pale in comparison to the cloak that this man is wearing. And you see that some sort of attack was being held against you. You can't tell because it's even in your meditative state, it's outside of your wheelhouse as far as power. But you do get the feeling that if it weren't for the interference of a friend, something bad could have happened. And then you are pulled away, and it is again just the two of you sitting on the floor.
Someone wishes to make an enemy of me then.
Enemies are fickle things. They are traded like currency and cards if you play. I don't think anyone knows what to make of you. I'm interested to see how it works, though.
And where did this maybe enemy go?
That's the thing with magic. Immortals are always so hung up on the material and the time and the place. I don't know where you went. All I can really deduct is that my intervention scared them from finishing what they started.
Thank you, then.
Don't thank me yet. And you kind of feel yourself kind of wake up. You feel as if that interaction did happen. It felt as real as anything else. But as you kind of come to and look around your room, the marks that I described are much more faint. And you kind of get the feeling, just kind of looking around, that there was maybe a longer sequence of events that caused it. Essentially, it's what, a 4-hour rest?
Yeah, minimum.
It was probably that whole time. Like from the moment you dropped your guard, there was a skirmish in this space. And then as you were pulled out of it, saved from it, aspects of the magic kind of dissipated.
Interesting. Okay. Just looking around, I'm gonna guess because if he disappeared with magic, he probably got in here with magic, but are there any signs of entry, a specific place he could have gone in through? Because right now, my mind is gonna be going towards doing whatever I can to better solidify my exits and entrances here.
I'll give you the choice. In this moment, if you are looking for physical material aspects of that, like, markings, doors, that sort of thing, give me an investigation check. If you're looking for a more arcane direction, give me Arcana.
I'm gonna do Arcana.
Okay.
13.
I'll say, Dianthus, as you, some of these rolls are contested.
Oh.
Some of these intruders to your space, Dianthus, in the past week, you've had tieflings and guards and members of the church and street rats and all sorts of things. You get the feeling that in knowing your space and in knowing that what you are dealing with is something that you've mostly just read about or heard from friends that read about such things, your space is mostly untouched. There's no movement in your books or any of the things that would indicate that something was taken from this space.
Okay.
However, to the entryway of your space, there is about a handful, a mere pocketful of kind of crystal sand, and you get the idea that something was broken, as you don't know what the item was, but you can deduce that it somehow unlocked your space to whatever it was.
What the fuck? All right. Well, if I can get like a little bag or tube or something, I like to collect some of this crystal dust, because even though I don't know what it is, I am very much hoping M or Yarrow would know or could find out. So I'm gonna pocket it, basically.
Icarus,
Yeah.
I need you to give me another charisma save.
Oh, good lord.
This one does not have advantage.
That's a 5 minus 1. That's a 4 sound.
Icarus, you, the player, of course, remember Yarrow.
I do remember Yarrow. Oh no.
You do remember Yarrow.
Oh no.
However, Dianthus,
Oh no.
in this moment, you pick up this dust, and you know someone who knows more than you about this. However, you could not describe them. Not in stature, not in name. You have no recollection of how to contact.
No. Oh no. Is Emrys still down here?
I need you to give me another save.
Oh god. Please, King. Okay. Better. 15 minus 1, 14.
15. Okay. So you do remember Emrys.
Okay.
In Dianthus, I'm assuming that your tendency and need for control is very prevalent to you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And just the fact that I would say you've probably never forgotten a single patient in your care. And the fact that you can't remember this person who you know is a friend, but you can't remember, would freak you out more than just about anything else. But you do remember Emrys, and you do know where they are in your space, your aid tent, so to speak. You would know that they're there.
Okay. Do I know that this person I can no longer remember is connected to Emrys?
No.
Great.
I will say that your thought process in thinking of that person, there is a wall that you have no idea how to break.
Oh no.
It's similar to the feeling of if someone asked you to name your favorite food place, and for whatever reason you can't remember what that place is, but at that moment you remember your favorite bookstore. It's unrelated, but your brain is just unable to focus on that.
Genuinely, I think they're gonna freak out a little bit. Their memory is not great to begin with when it comes to their past. So the fact that they might think it's happening again. Whatever happened last time that made them forget everything before the fall, he might be freaking out thinking that it's happening again somehow.
Dianthus, as you think of this happening again, you feel a lightness in your chest, and then in your hands and in your feet, and you're brought back to the moments when you were first cast into D'aowVern. You feel the wind rushing through your hair, pieces of your armor and your blade kind of following you as you fall. You remember hitting the ground in a village that you wouldn't have even seen as you fell. It's that small. Dianthus, in this moment, you remember a young human woman, blonde, probably 19, early 20s, weeping over you, wiping off pieces of dirt and rock and broken wood, and bringing you into the common center, into the town hall, which also served as a church. You remember spending weeks with broken bones, and as they healed remarkably quickly and without scarring, you remember villagers and folks, both religious and secular, growing wary of you, scared of the man who fell from the sky. You remember being awoken one night as this young woman, piercing eyes that every time you look at them seem to change between blue and green. It based off of what she's wearing, the lighting of the day, always looks different. But shining blonde hair. You don't remember seeing another villager with the same complexion as this one. She wakes you up in the middle of the night, takes you outside of town, and as you turn, you see that the center that you were taken in by, completely ablaze. And the mob of villagers searching for the man who fell from the sky.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna say, Dianthus, I'm gonna give you a moment, just standing on this hill, looking over this village that is in ruin from your appearance, from your presence, from your perseverance. Remember, you don't have your magic.
Correct.
But is there something you would like to do in this moment?
This is back when he is quote unquote young and spry, so incredibly inexperienced with how to interact with people. I'm sure that didn't help the situation at all. His first instinct, funny enough, I think would be to get a weapon and find the people who set the place ablaze. But if the girl that helped him tries to stop him in any way, he's probably gonna listen to her because she got him out of there and she didn't have to.
Give me a perception check.
Absolutely, I think I'm good at that. 17.
Dianthus, I'll say as you ran out of your sense of preservation, probably gave you enough time to grab just a single spear. Nothing crazy, a hunting spear. You would know in your time with these people, even though you're bedridden, it was a very low technology village.
Got it.
And in this moment, you had run full sprint outside of the city. And in this moment, you see, with the 17, the dried path of tears down this girl's face. And as you turn back to find the men who did this, she doesn't try to stop you. Tries to keep up. I don't know if you're necessarily trying to lose her as you run back.
No, I don't think I'm running either. I think it's in the same way that when he first got up, like, first instinct was to kick Bianca's ass, is just a natural instinct he kind of has. The first thing he does is not freeze or run, it's fight. If she is following behind and is kind of given the vibe of, yeah, I'll fight with you, he's gonna
Mhm.
happily accept that help.
I would say, as you get back to the city, the town, you notice that mostly horse-drawn carriages, buildings made out of more than just stick and mud, but it's very log cabin, think colonial, like Jamestown-esque. Like
Got it.
very much like everything is put together with purpose and intention, but it hasn't. This village hasn't been around enough to become. They haven't had their renaissance yet. This
Yeah.
is very much very structural village. That being said, as you get back, she does manage to pick up a simple wooden shield and just kind of hold it in front of her. You do get the sense that, as this is a nun, pretty much isn't very fight centric. However, you do manage to, and I will remind you, this is a memory, so this all did happen. You sneak around pretty well. There's a couple moments where you're about to step out in front of people, and she pulls you back because she knows, the patrol more. But you get the feeling that most of the people here in this village, pretty much all of them that are able-bodied, are in pursuit of you.
Oh man.
And I'll say that's roughly, to what you can tell, anywhere between 40 and 50 people.
If we can manage to find a quiet little side-off place to hide for a minute,
Mhm.
I would like to speak to this nun. You know these people. Why would they, for one person, why would they burn a building?
She struggles to meet your gaze, and it's very different because for most of your recovery, she's been smiling and very cordial towards you. But in this moment, you do see fear on her face, and she kind of grips her skirt as she mutters through, well, I was never accepted by the village either. I was young when I wandered. They say I was about 5, and I can't remember much before. They found me in a simple rowboat. Took me a few years to understand the language and then understand their gods. I was forced to the nunnery for entertaining adventurous thought. So when you fell, I saw a little bit of myself. You're completely different than I could ever be. You just look at your ears and skin. There's never been such a dramatic person to ever exist here.
And their reaction to me is to kill me.
Well, I don't know how much of it you remember, but a few of your treatments gave effects most unsavory. And she describes how at one point to treat a fever, they had laid leeches on your body. That upon contact, instead of performing the typical medicinal effect, turned into dust. And then when they took blades to cut your skin open to let the infection out, the blades turned to chalk and crumbled. There were times when there were certain ales or herbal drinks made for you. And the only ones that seemed to take effect were those that were dead, as in mushrooms that had long decayed, or pods of seaweed that had been laid on the beach for too long. All of the ways that these villagers knew to help you only made you worse. and all of the things that would assuredly kill any of us gave you strength. They never tried to kill you. Well, I guess until now. You're too terrible to be real.
Do you believe that too?
I've always been told what to do. And I think now I just want to give it time. And basically, I don't want anyone to tell me what to believe ever again.
Was there anyone else in that building before they set it ablaze?
No, you were in a village as small as this. It's pretty easy to clear.
Had they put any of their life in stake, I would still go out there and show them all what true terror I could be. But if it was just me and they failed, then we should get you someplace where you can believe what you want.
Dianthus, as you are saying this, you feel yourself standing back in your room where this memory started. And as you remember saying this line, you remember the orange that was the blaze from the town hall start to die as rain starts. And right as the rain starts to hit, the sky begins to light up, and the orange burn turns into a blue burn. And we are brought back to you standing there, freaking out. And that's all you remember of that time of your life for this moment.
Do I remember that woman's name? Did she ever tell me?
Give me another Christmas everything.
Damn it. 10. So a 9.
It's right there. It is right there. I will say, though, Dianthus, on a 10 turned 9 by your
Lack of charisma.
lack of people
skills.
You don't remember her name, but you do remember quick flashes of the door that y'all had hidden behind tearing open, men pulling y'all into the street, and right before a bright light enveloped the square, you remember just seeing her answer you to what her name was, but you don't remember.
Damn. It's not helping his freak out about his memory loss, I tell you what.
I will say, at this point, you're standing in your space,
Yeah.
kind of freaking out. So far, the only person you can remember is Emrys.
Yeah.
I will say they are there.
Okay.
In where you left them. They are asleep and healing. Part of this moment of like, what the heck is going on? You are able to quickly deduce that they're okay. They do appear older. If you remember, their affliction deals with some weird
time
magic.
Right.
And so Emrys has a peppery beard that goes about to the top of the clavicle. Not Gandalf.
No. Yeah.
But very much like as if he's been sleeping and have not awoken later this week. But yeah, he has aged, but with his condition, that's nothing crazy.
Yeah, it's not the worst that he's been in. Given that I can't remember that he is attached to the person I can't remember, I see no reason that Dianthus is going to bother them, especially if they otherwise seem fine. He would rather them rest while he has his little freak out. Can I pitch, that bright blue, the memory, would that possibly strike a memory of like Cal? Because I know Cal's sword glows a very bright blue.
I will say, give me the roll again, this time with advantage,
Okay.
because I like that jump.
13.
I'm here for it. 13. Interesting. Okay.
Oh no.
Dianthus, you remember, and I will say this is very, are you familiar with like The Last of Us or like Detroit Become Human
I am
kind of
familiar
gameplay?
with both. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is one of those things where because this effect is taking place on you and you're kind of like processing through it, in your body a lot is not going on, but you're experiencing a lot of moments.
Yes.
So Emrys is before you and you think to that blue flash and you remember a good while back. Not that same year, but a handful of years later. You do remember a Recon event where a single ship, not an airship, but a typical sailing ship, fall from the sky, and a crew of undead and Triton folk and Asimar and tieflings and humans, and it looked like an entire scene of Pirates of the Caribbean and Lord of the Rings, just all on the beach of the island. And you remember a man had fallen, and you had been providing some sort of quick medical care to them. They looked like Emrys did in this moment. Just an older tiefling man, you're holding them, and as you're about to get struck, you see a bright blue blade impale the chest of some zombie undead, and you see a smiling half-elf kind of cackling through the battle, throwing different potions and spells out, just wailing on people. He kind of helps you back to your feet, and he says, "This is no place for a rest, my friend," and he goes back into the fray. And you come back to this moment, and you do remember Cal, and you remember that they are someone who has been around a lot longer than the other people on this island. Not as long as you have, but they're like, okay, I am secure and aware of this person.
Okay. That will help calm them down, because at least that is now somebody that they know. I remember you, I know where you are, I know how you can help me. And I think that actually might be what they kind of plan to do. Emrys is secure. As far as he knows, the man who tried to set him on fire last night isn't still here.
Right.
So he might leave to go up to the actual church. And right now, just try to find out where Cal is, because clearly something's going on.
Gotcha. I'll say Dianthus, because of how familiar you are with your space and just kind of the checks and stuff that we've done so far. You get out into the general church area. In the past week, there's been a lot more people in the church, but not patrons, if that makes sense. Something about gaining magical ability affected the turnout for typical religious services in one way. In others, though, you see people that are kind of practicing healing magic or slight prestidigitation or things that are, innocent. It's not a bunch of fireballs and thunderbolts being thrown at people. But you see kind of like the familiar sight of just people working with their magic. And even in the short time, there's been kind of a natural order that has befallen the church. Because essentially, you gotta have rules as to like,
Yeah.
hey, no crazy magic inside. But one of the first people you get to is a cleric, just a typical monk, red hair, beard. You recognize him as a man who, before this specific Breakphone event, was more of a custodial member of the church. He would do, gather offerings, present powders and candles, that sort of thing. But in discovering that he has healing magic, a man stands before you whose name's Phineas.
Phineas.
A younger, not quite middle-aged, but very spry adventurer type, but just a local cleric. He's been, ever since everything's happening, doing different blessings, and a lot of the aftermath of the Reckoning event has been mostly handled. And at this point, business is as close as back to normal as it can be, considering just how crazy,
Right.
it was that people have magic now. But he is the only person in the immediate vicinity who gives you kind of like a kind, but still distant, because you will remember that Dianthus is, kind of deemed the harbinger of death amongst members of the church. So it's nice, like it's someone trying to be nice, but they are scared.
That's fair. That's fine.
But, hello, sir. You're awake. There was some commotion earlier. Some people came by, caused a bit of a ruckus, but things are better now. How are you doing today? Sleep well.
I don't sleep. I need,
No?
I want to request someone keep guard at my door while I'm gone.
You have a preference as to denomination or creed? I can get
I
some
don't
wardens if you
care
want.
as long as they can hold a sword and stand their own in a fight.
Okay, well, I will find someone. Give me a moment. And you see he kind of shuffles off. He comes back with a couple, not incredibly, like, scary, threatening, but capable, villagers with various pikes, swords. You do notice that they come forward to help, but only because of mention of someone being sick, not because you asked.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those situations where they're coming up and this group is like, all right, who's in charge here? What's going on? Phineas is like, if you could help with, and he kind of whispers to them, and I forget, you have something with whispers, right?
Great question.
Let me not.
I do not have a special feat or anything yet. No.
Gotcha. Okay, I will say your keen senses. You can give me a perception check just
Sure.
to see.
Non-natural 20, 15 plus 5.
Okay, cool. So dirty 20. I will say he's trying to not let you hear him. But Phineas turns and says, "Let me know if I'm too quiet for you." But this is in regards to the star freaks from early. I know he's scary, but he's right. Don't let anyone in there. Anyway, Dianthus, may we do anything else for you?
If he wasn't mentally freaking out, he might make a comment on that, but he's in a bad mood. That's it. I appreciate. Never mind. As long as it seems that Phineas is going to direct them down towards the mausoleum, he is then going to make his way through the church. If anyone tries to look at him or talk to him, it is the harshest, unseeable glare that he can muster in their direction as he is heading for the doors.
I will say you get through pretty much everybody. Any soliciting is met with a stern, and remind me, you have your eye piece, right?
Yes. Yep. The
Um,
cover.
I will say in 100 years, though, Dianthus has perfected the stature of a death glare,
Yes.
even without the use of pupils.
Yes.
And if anything, it kind of provides a space as people part and you walk out. And kind of you notice it's like that visual of the shark with the fish in the circle around them.
Yeah.
As you kind of, there are a lot of people as you pass, there's a hush, and then as you leave their section of the floor, the songs or the sermons or whatever type of morning activity that they are pursuing with their faith start back up, except for one person.
Oh, good.
You get to the doors and they actually open for you, and as you start on the steps to leave the church, you recognize about 5-10 feet to your right a elder woman standing, arms under a shawl, with a simple yet elegant coronation in her hair, long white hair. Lady Dinah is standing on the steps of the church. To her right is the General Ogden, who oversees the wardens and other military efforts. But she is the only person, even the general backed away when you walked past them. But Dinah is the only one who stayed. Leaving so soon.
Don't tell me you're going to miss me.
Always running.
Who said I'm running?
Well, no one had to say anything. I just like to notice things. And she, without losing posture, turns back into the church.
I do
Have
not
fun.
like her. Oh! I have a special coin here. I call it my stupid boy coin. I have to flip it when I make a decision about whether or not to do or say something possibly stupid.
Okay, go for it.
Great, I'm gonna say something possibly stupid. The next time your eyes wander my way, turn them upwards or close them.
The words that you speak, Dianthus, don't often garner attention, right? Usually the way that you speak, to my understanding, is meant to either hush someone or to demand something.
Yes, he is very blunt to the point about, yes, do this or don't do this, according to me.
At this point, the members of the church that are in earshot all fall silent. And it causes almost a dampening wave amongst the patrons as everyone falls silent. And without turning, you hear a hearty, crudely fake laugh burst from Dinah. Oh, you are a fun one. And the doors close behind her as herself and the general all run in. And the moment the doors close, the sound kind of builds back up, and it is just you. And maybe a guard on either side of the door, but it is just you in this space.
Now, for my own curiosity as a player, how long has she been bishop here? How long have I had to deal with her?
Give me another charisma save.
Oh boy! Oof! Oh, okay, that's not bad. 18, so 17.
As I tell you, Dianthus, where do you think your feet are taking in this moment?
Whew, that's a fantastic question. Wherever I would know Cal to frequent the most, out of everywhere on the island. There's no guarantee he'll be there, but like 5 times out of 10 that I've had to go looking for him, it's probably A or B.
Gotcha. So I'm going to tell you where you go.
Okay.
But as you are going, and because I'm not doing this to set a trap in the city, but I'm going to say that Dianthus, your mind is wandering as you are still attentive, but also still freaking out.
Correct.
But you think back to how long Dinah has been the bishop. And that blue flash stops. It is you and the young blonde woman being pulled out to the street. I say that, Dianthus, you feel a little bit of that warrior spirit take you as you strike down multiple of these commoners. A man, very chieftain-esque, wearing a fur gilded cape, but with simple gauntlets, big arms, whips on a punch. Dianthus, you feel power behind this man. You get the feeling that he's kind of their Gaston, so to speak.
Oh, yeah?
But as he goes in for the punch, he hits the spear and it breaks, leaving you with just the head and a pike-esque type weapon at this moment. Dianthus, do you think you would have attacked him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me an attack roll.
Absolutely.
And I am going to say use the stats for your blade.
For my blade? Okay, I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh my god! I'm gonna take a picture. Natural 20, I'm gonna take a picture.
Okay. You know when sometimes a plan gets... Dianthus, in the moments since you fell, before that you were wearing a suit of armor, and you had your blade that pulsed with some sort of death-defying energy. Since then, you've been in a simple dark pants, typical sandals, a light tunic, nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
However, the spearhead, after being fractured by this chieftain, you take hold of it and you lunge to attack. And on a natural 20, you feel the blade, the spear, rip one of the arms off of this man. And as he and other villagers stand there in disbelief, you look around, challenging anyone to approach you. And up to this point, Dianthus, I will say for flavor's sake, you've had bandages around your eyes, because you probably would have mentioned to the girl to keep them covered. But Dianthus stands with your blade stuck in the shoulder of this man. Full armor, you're covering, the grass around you withers and dies, and the lights that fall from the sky are the only illumination. Fire is completely gone. It is just rain and showering lights, and this monster of a man who would typically demolish anyone in front of them is just crying, begging for their life in front of everyone.
I'm gonna look to the girl, because again, this is when he is young, this is when he's experienced, he's a good fighter, but he doesn't know how to fairly fight. If this woman tells him to give mercy, then he shall. If she leaves it up to him, then I have a coin.
Dianthus, as you look back to the girl, you see up to that moment, she was being held with a blade to her throat by one of the other villagers, just, held at bay. And for a moment, she had been screaming for help, for you to do something, to interfere, to run. But Dianthus, seeing you hurt this person, it is just fear. And as she looks at you, the man holding the blade seems to realize the shift and drops his arms, and she backs away.
Yeah, that'll do it. All right. That hurts. I don't think he's expecting it to hurt. He just learned her name, now doesn't remember it. And I think he's gonna show that man mercy only because he needs to leave. He will go and wander off into the woods. Pretty confident no one's gonna follow him, but
Dianthus,
that hurt.
I need you to give me a perception check.
Oh, fuck. No, I'm good at perception. We're good at this. We're very good at that. 17 total.
Dianthus, as you turn to say this to this man, you feel an arrow pierce your shoulder. As members of the villagers have once again risen up, and even though you have hurt this man, they do not plan on kicking him out.
Okay. The man remains where he is. I'm not gonna fuck with him. But to the person, the fool who just shot the arrow, I'm coming for him, yeah.
Okay.
I'll stalk towards him.
Okay, cool. I'll say on, what was it, a 17
17.
section?
Yeah.
I was putting that to their attack roll. It was a combative roll. They rolled a 19.
Alright, alright!
But you do see them, and you see a maybe 14-year-old boy
Ah, fuck!
standing outside of his house, in front of a woman and a couple other kids. And Dianthus, for a moment, you have a sense of realization that this is the son of the man that you had just sliced their arm off.
More reason to leave. That makes them pause. Questionable whether they've even considered the concept of having to fight and kill children before this moment. But no, they're gonna come to the acceptance. No, I can't attack a child. So once he recognizes it's a kid, I think it's back to the original plan of just get out of here. Just go.
So, Dianthus, as you remember this, you are walking through town to where you believe Cal will be. You remember walking out from the town and no one stops you. No one moves at the ways part, and the couple of men who raised their weapons against you, as their spears or swords or clubs came over shoulder height, turned into black powder, and they backed away as you just quietly walked out of town. The rain and the falling lights continue. And Dianthus, to get to your question about how long Lady Dinah has been the bishop of the church, I'll say that you found your cave a couple days after. Not too far to where the town was a forgotten memory, but far enough to where they wouldn't just happen upon you.
Right.
But this cave, over the series of weeks and months, became an abode for you, a safe place where people didn't go. It used to be behind a waterfall, but the lights that rained on Vanderhill, the people that came next, you didn't see. The conquering that the first wave of fighters overtook the town immediately. And the head of the village, having retired due to their physical ailments, had turned the town over to one of the most even-keeled, the most learned, the blonde girl
No.
that helped you out of town,
No.
and that eventually left you to fend for yourself over the course of years and decades.
Don't say it. I swear to God.
Lady Dinah has served as the bishop in title for 50 years, but the leader of this town. I mentioned before when you met Lady Dinah that she had seemed old.
Yeah, like super old.
Super old. And even though in the last couple of days she seems impossibly youthful,
Yeah.
Dianthus, as you shoulder check more people than you probably would normally, you remember the blonde girl that nursed you back to health, that pulled you from that burning building,
Oh my God!
but eventually betrayed you, and you remember Lady Dinah, the bishop of D'aowVern.
Oh my God! I'm going to kill you. I'm going to. I'm gonna. Oh no!
You know, it's all in good fun.
It's all in good fun. Ooh, for flavor reasons, can he like not have remembered or realized that until this very, very, very second?
I will say yes.
Because he didn't remember her name.
Dianthus, I'm also going to say that because of the way that you had left town and everything, you weren't certain that it was the same
Girl, yeah.
girl. Because that was roughly 99 something years ago.
Yeah.
But just something she said to you. Or maybe it was the way that she laughed when everyone turned their back. Or maybe it was the way she was the only one not afraid to step out of your way. You, Dianthus, are standing in the middle of town with just people rushing by you, alone with that realization.
Oh my God. Caleb, how long have you had this planned? How long? How long?
It's been months.
Oh my
It's been months.
God! Oh my God! Oh! I'm sweating. That was okay. Oh! Okay!
You good?
I'm great. He's not. I'm good though. I'm fantastic. I think, yeah. What a day for him, huh? It's only what, 11 a.m.?
Yeah.
He's gonna stand in the middle of the street, just realizing this finally.
Mhm.
And for, I think, maybe the first time, like up until now, the bishop has been pushy and probably just as controlling and stubborn as he is, and that's why they butt heads like all the time. But he's never been afraid of her. He's never bended a knee. He's never rolled over to her. But this is I think, first time he's like, I don't want to see her ever again. I can't deal with the possible repercussions. I gotta find Cal. I have to find Cal.
Okay. You have to find
I
Cal.
love
I will
this game.
say, Dianthus, part of the reason, because as a DM, sometimes you have things and you bring them out and you don't know when they're going to come up.
Right.
And the reason I brought this up in this moment is because as you're looking for Cal, you feel lost.
Yeah.
I'll say, it eventually comes to you, how the city eventually became so integral to the island that you had to come back, right?
Yeah,
Not
right.
because you wanted to, but because there were times where people were hurt. People were fought. Maybe you were attacked, things like that.
Yep.
Cal was someone who, from the moment you met them, have always responded and treated you the same way. And you can't remember where they would be right now. You don't know why. You remember them, though. And just as you think that you are, not going to find them, or that maybe they have also left you, you come out of town onto the beach. And you see Cal sparring with some other dude, some guy. Give me I'm going to say this one with advantage.
Okay. All right. We like to hear that.
I'm going to say if you want to make this a wisdom save, you can.
Am I better at that?
I don't
Will
know.
the wisdom save still be with advantage?
Yes.
Okay, great, because the first one I rolled was a natural 1, so for a wisdom, that's now a 14.
Okay. And, so that's the second roll is a 14?
The second roll
or
is a 14, second roll, yeah.
I was about to say the one is a 14.
No. He's not that broken.
I was like, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Cal is fighting with Gunner, who you remember. And Dianthus, you feel something because I don't know if Gunner is particularly close with you.
No, I don't think they've spoken. Really.
Yeah, I don't think, in remembering Phineas, you didn't feel like you had to pull anything to remember this guy, right?
Yeah.
You didn't feel like, oh, I don't remember a single person's name in all of D'aowVern, right? It's only people that, ironically, you feel you are closest to that you have to try particularly harder to remember.
Mm.
And so, you remember Cal and you remember Gunner, and the two of them in this moment are going back and forth, right? Just, you can tell it's not...
Yeah, just practice.
Deathly aggressive, but it's just practice. And the two of them turn to you. Dianthus, Cal, Dianthus, how's it going?
I'm forgetting.
You're forgetting. Care to explain what it is that you have forgotten? I know that's kind of oxymoronic, but...
I'm forgetting people. A person. I'm forgetting people. I forgot someone, and I know that they are someone. I almost forgot you.
Have you been drinking with her?
Be serious.
I'm sorry. I had to ask. Let me try something. Here, he tosses his blade to Gunner, and he kind of, not to touch you or anything, but he kind of walks up, and he kind of looks to you. Dianthus.
Yeah.
How do you feel you would react to a potential mind link, like a telepathic
If I know Cal can do it and he has done it to me in the past, he is the only one that can do so without being slapped.
Okay. In that case, give me a history check.
Okay. 12.
12. I will say, with a 12,
Yeah.
you feel Cal's mind kind of like hop onto yours, and before you remember that this is something that he's done before, you give him a full smack, just but you do remember, like, as the slap follows, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, just genuine, just... Sorry, you have to warn me before you do that.
He sits there for a second, and you hear in your head, it's like, well, that's not too embarrassing. Let me look around. Always so dark in here. Oh boy. Okay. And again, you two are just standing there.
Yeah.
Right? Gunner is standing there with the blades, like, what the hell's going on? Cal is usually very talkative, kind of all over the place, a little ADHD maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But when he does this, he gets more serious. And that's mostly just because his body just kind of stops. He's just standing there, like, staring.
Yeah.
And so anyone on, like, any third party would be like, what the hell is going on?
They're staring very intensely into each other's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just very, like, you'll forget. Interesting. I have dealt with some of this before.
So fix it.
Well, that's the thing with a magical effect like this. It's all up to you, I'm afraid. You gotta kind of push through. I had trouble remembering Gunner earlier. That's kind of why we were fighting at first, and then I remembered. Dianthus, let me check what you speak real quick. I am going to ask you something.
Yeah, I know Common, Draconic, and Elvish.
I gotcha.
I forgot I know Draconic.
Give me a flat D20 roll.
Absolutely. Of course, a 10.
10. So what you first make out to be Common in your head, Cal kind of turns off the link and starts speaking to you in Draconic.
How the fuck do you know Draconic, King? Do I know that I know Draconic until this point?
I'm going to say the 10 would make you very shocked, because you only really have the memory that you were able to read and understand certain things when talking to Yarrow when it came to stuff. It wasn't like, the two of us can look at a paper and me tell you, oh, this is French, I understand some of this, whatever. You were reading it, you're like, I don't understand why I can understand some of this.
Yeah, right.
Cal is talking to you, and he filters through a bunch of languages until you respond to the Draconic. Interesting. Okay. His voice gets deeper, raspier, but to anyone else, it would sound like mashing of teeth and and like a fire in your belly. But you understand for a moment. And it's like, interesting. So you have your languages still. You are able to communicate. It doesn't look like you were put under like a typical amnesia spell.
But it is a spell. What language are we speaking?
Oh, this is fun. We should get going, and the three of y'all kind of start to walk as people after their lunch break approach the beach and start, kind of doing. You kind of start down not a wild forest path, but like a forested kind of like a city park type deal. He does explain to you that at first he was speaking Common, and then Elvish, and then he threw out, some very elementary Goblin, Gnomish, Dwarvish. Wasn't sure what all you knew. The Draconic was surprising him. And as y'all are talking, You do notice, I will say for flavor, how do you think the three of you would walk? Like in what procession?
I am staying to Cal's side. I don't think they're a fan of having people behind them, just in general. So,
Yep.
might have forced Gunner to the front. So, it would be like Gunner and then the two of them in the back.
Gotcha. For a moment, Hal turns to Gunner, and you see the visual of him mind leaking with Gunner. And Gunner kind of looks around and starts to make kind of a perimeter. And he looks back to you. Let's sit. And he kind of sits on this fallen tree, and he starts to take off his robe. Not the front, just the cloak.
Yeah, the cloak thing, yeah.
That he has around him. And as he pulls it over and out, you catch for a second that there's a blue glow emitting from his back, and he throws it over the branch of the tree. There has been a lot of development this week, as I'm sure you're aware.
Plenty.
I had a theory, which is why I chose the tongue that we are exchanging currently. But look there. And he points to your chest, where a gray light is peeking out over. At this point, do you think you'd be wearing your armor or your simple clothes?
Oh, I think I definitely put the armor on just because
Gotcha.
Before I left the church I was very freaked out, and it's a comfort thing. Well, if I'm with Cal, I might let it drop when we came to sit down.
Gotcha. I would say up to that moment, as you drop it, the armor up to this point is dark and it has silver trimming,
Yes.
but for a moment you thought that it might be glowing a little bit. The edges of the armor as you spoke in Draconic. And as you drop the armor, you see that almost glowing through your shirt is your mark.
I'm comfortable with Cal. I'm taking my shirt off. Let's take a fucking look at that thing, huh? Because this is not the first time it's done this, right? It's done this a couple times now.
It did it, yes. It did it with Bianca.
Yep.
And it did it when y'all were at the waterfall.
Yes.
Which I will say you do remember.
Oh?
Cal being there.
Fuck.
But you remember that it's disjointed. It's like you're trying to remember a drunk memory. And when you pull on it, it's like you're attributing things to Cal that aren't him, but you don't know who. But you do remember that those are the only times that it has done what it is currently doing, to your memory.
Oh my god. Okay. Fucked up. But yes, this is not the only time that it's done this before. I just, probably up until this point, haven't had the chance to take a look at it while it was doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to let it pass me up this time.
He drops the Draconic, and the blue subsides on his back. And for a moment, as you take your shirt off, he kind of turns, and you see a massive mark that goes across his shoulder blades. Draconian, but water-esque.
Like mine?
Similar to yours. It's a different design.
Design, right. But it's like the same...
But it gives the same energy. Whereas yours, flavored however you wish, might have a more black or silver or purple. If you've ever been in a boat, or if you've ever seen water that is shining blue reflected off of someone's face, that is the color that emits from Cal as he speaks to you like that.
Okay. Fucked up. But, okay, so we dropped the Draconic. Does mine also stop glowing?
Do you drop the Draconic?
Am I able to piece together in this moment that the Draconic is what's making us glow?
I will say, in Cal stopping, speaking in common and having that happen, you realize that that is.
Then I'm not gonna stop talking in Draconic.
Okay.
I need to figure out what's going on here, dude.
I will say, you sit there, you talk for a little bit, but the area that you're in, you realize that in the patrol, the trees have become thick, more than natural. And you did catch from the corner of your eye Gunnar dropping a single token. And you realize that y'all are in a secluded space similar to the pocket dimension of somewhere you were earlier.
Shall I roll?
And I'm gonna need this one, the charisma save.
Come on, baby. No! 2, so it's a 1. Oh! Oh!
Dianthus, before we take our halfway break, you remember a piercing pair of golden eyes, black lips, gray skin with hair that seemed to be reaching out for everything, dark green material, and a woman thrusting their hands at you as vines gripped for your wrists and your ankles and cut your skin, and you have a moment where you just feel similar to not being able to remember Yarrow. There's something else that you're not remembering in this moment, and it is part of what you were trying to discuss in Draconic with Cal, but just something that was said or something that you saw in this space reminded you that there's something that you're forgetting.
God. He's having a great day. He's having a wonderful day. It's 11 a.m.
And as we take our character lunch break, we're going to take a person break.
Yes.
I'm telling Freckle they will have to watch the first part.
All I've told them is, I forgot who you are. And that's all I've said. And I know I've heard the Discord chimes. I know I have messages. I will not read them, Freckle. Not yet.
Dianthus, you remember Emerist.
Mm-hmm.
You remembered, oddly enough, you remembered more about Dinah.
Yes.
So that's a little weird for you. Cal is, pretty much exactly as you remembered them.
Yeah.
And you're learning more, but not necessarily in a memory sense. It's just kind of like, oh, now we can do this.
Yes.
And I will say, in this moment, in talking to Cal, in sifting through your moments of clarity and remembering, a moment that your character would feel strongly of is a woman that you don't remember in a place similar to this, but you feel a gripping fear as you remember you were attacked by some elven woman with a bunch of plants.
Oh, no. So this is me player, asking, clarifying. Is he now under the assumption, get back here, get back here, get back here. Is he under the assumption that Lady M attacked him?
Yes. So
oh, no!
Player to player, you know that it is Lady M.
Right.
Dianthus remembers being attacked by this woman.
Right.
Does not remember their name or their connection to it.
Oh no. Oh no, King, you better remember her. There's gonna be issues.
And that's what happens when you get a dirty 1 on a save.
Don't
There
do
you go.
it. I do not recommend it. I think, he notably is gonna tense, but if he's having these flashes, I mean, he's keeping Cal in the loop. The whole point of finding Cal was to tell him what was going on and try and fix it or stop it from getting worse. And to him, right now, currently, it's getting worse.
I will say over the course of Cal eating, offering you stuff to eat if you
I will not
wish to
eat.
join. You will not eat. I imagine it would be kind of like, no, wait, we're focusing on this. Cal, however, he'll have like a full sandwich in his mouth. Just like, all right, so here's the thing, don't have to worry. It is going to be a little tricky, but we'll figure it out. However, okay, so it seems like you're dealing with something, because even when I try to tell you about there are certain people he says to you, certain names, and when he does that, it you can't hear or understand or know what it is that he's talking about. And so far, it seems to be just 2 people.
You can say their names as many times as you want. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me or understand me?
Understand.
Yes. Well, let me try something. He pulls his blade, and in large elvish letters, writes in the grass. And he writes down a set of glyphs, and he turns to you. Can you read this?
Can I read it? No? Gonna shake my head.
Yeah. The second glyph, he writes out, turns to you. Can you read it?
What do you think?
All right, no. Hey, Chris, I need you to do another save for me.
God damn it. 7 minus 1. 6.
Dianthus, as you are trying to glean meaning off of the writing, the script, whatever it is that is in front of you, it's almost painful to look at the grass. Like it actually seems to kind of catch fire, because he's really just carving into the ground with his blade.
Right.
But you've seen it in action where he slices through someone and there's a flame that follows, and that seems to be, he's not messing with you necessarily, but there are 3 people.
Oh no.
Who you don't remember.
Oh no. Oh no. I've forgotten them all, huh?
Uh-huh.
Oh no. Do I get the sense that there is now a 3rd person who's just wiped?
Yeah.
Oh no. Cal, you're not helping. Why is it I remember you and that man I haven't even spoken a word to, but I know his entire name. I remember interacting with him. I remember him. I remember you. I remember the bishop.
How'd you meet him?
Fuck. I can't. I don't know. You see what I mean? This is getting worse.
History check. I'm going to stay with advantage.
Yeah? Oh, yeah! 22.
Dianthus, as you mention Gunner, you remember a moment as you came back into the tavern in your initial fight with Bianca.
Right.
You remember Gunner on the floor, one knee down. You think he's holding something, but in thinking back on it, you think that maybe he just had his hands out to his sides.
Maybe he was holding a weapon or something. Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe.
Maybe.
But you remember Gunnar. And you remember Gon Kui, who's the tavern owner, a half-orc elven woman.
The fight.
You remember the fight, but in thinking back on it, all you can really remember is 3 different appearances of the same woman attacking you.
What the fuck?
And somehow you got out of it.
It was at the tavern. The fight. I remember that. I remember the fight. Bianca, you were there. That's it. Cal, if this is a spell, either you need to do something or we need to find somebody who can break it, fix it. This is wrong, I can tell you that much. I feel the loss.
You see Cal, like, confused, but trying to think of something. Do you think you've been hurt?
Do I look hurt?
No, that's not.
Fuck. This last night. I have a friend. He told me someone was in my space last night. I don't know who. I don't know why. And I don't know where they are.
Someone was in your space.
The church. The dust things I gathered, I will pull out and hold out to Cal. This is the only stuff that was left behind. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Because this is something different.
Mm-hmm.
Dianthus, I need a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, God. I'm good at these. My wisdom is high. It's not gonna fucking help me. 8.
Dianthus, as Cal puts his hand over the, maybe a little, like, coin purse type deal?
Yeah, whatever little baggie I could have got.
Little baggie.
Yeah, herbs, whatever I normally use.
I'm going to say on an 8, you feel a snap, and your chest starts to burn a little bit, and the armor is back, and you're standing with a tall, gangly man with a celestial robe and empty, gaunt eyes, and a beard that has gases and constellations, and a hood over his head, is holding and pulling at you.
Oh! No! No! I do not go to second locations. I'm fighting back. I'm pulling away.
Okay. Are you pulling? Or are you
Well, how is he pulling me?
So it's weird because logically you know that you're standing with Cal in that space. Cal is grabbing that satchel from you.
Right.
But on that save, you feel that this is real, and you feel that you are in this space with this person. So with your full arsenal of whatever it is, however you react, what do you do?
Full arsenal, huh?
Not that you have to throw your whole arsenal, I'm just saying, like, you can do anything in this moment.
A horrible thing to give me. I'd like to cast command and tell him to let go of me.
Okay.
So the creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw. So he has to beat a 13.
He succeeds.
Then he will not listen to me.
He will not let go. Dianthus, for a moment, you feel an emanating magic come from his hand, and it kind of goes up your arm and kind of tries to overtake you, and it pulls, but you feel it thrown off. This man is still holding the hand that you do.
I'm gonna cast Inflict Wounds, since he's touching me.
Okay.
So... 15?
15 to hit.
To hit.
So As your spell goes out, it is shrugged off. As this man, typically, anatomically, it would be a smack and return, but his head actually fully rotates
Oh, fuck!
with the hit and comes back to look at you.
What are you?
And he speaks in something that is distant and unknown to you. But his eyes are dark. And you hear in common, "You are getting in my way." And as he says this, you feel the space that you're in dematerialize and break and crumble. And as he's pulling at you, Hal pulls your hand from the same position out and it's like, Dianthus, snap out of it. What was that?
Are you real?
Am I real?
Yes.
How would you have me prove that I am real?
Hit me
I hit you.
as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Give him advantage on it. Go on. Go on.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Go on.
I don't know if I needed the advantage. Let's see. Oh boy. So, it's gonna hit you. I rolled an 18 and a 20.
Oh
So,
my god, hit me.
so for 15 hit points, you are
Oh,
blocked. Just like,
that's half
Because
my
up to this
HP,
point-
dog. Oh,
up to this point, you had felt like a pull and there was magic being inflicted on you and different things were happening. In real time, Hal was holding your hand and you were, Dianthus, you feel almost a tension in your neck because your head was full on exorcist like rolling out like different,
he's in my
and Hal
head.
was just pulling on you. So when you say to hit him, he's full on dex. Like you come up and there's a bit of blood coming from your cheek. And you feel a little dizzy.
You're pulling your punches when we spar.
Well, I have quite a bit more practice than you do.
Don't get cocky. Thank you.
But yes, I am real and
Okay.
I am curious. Try to read it again. And this time, let me,
How?
you can give me a roll
Yeah.
that charisma save. But Cal is going to do something. And I'm going to tell you what happens based off of what your roll does. Or what your the outcome of your roll.
19 minus 1. 18.
Cal takes the crystallized powder
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like ties it with his thing. And he holds your hand and you feel a pleasant heat, which is not common for you. And you smell ocean air as the trees behind y'all kind of open up and almost like a breeze comes off the water. And you feel a breeze through your hair and across your face, and the mark, the blood on your cheek dissipates, heals a little bit. And you see that there is in a swirling wall of ocean mist the smiling forms of your friends, Yarrow,
Oh, thank God.
Nordia, and Lady N.
Oh, thank God.
You do get the feeling, you feel an exhaustion kind of leave your body though, to where you realize in this moment, I will say with that save as well, whatever this person was doing to try to manipulate your mind took a lot of energy. And whatever they had tried to do to you just now accompanied with your role. They were not able to maintain that deception.
Thank God. Oh, thank God. Okay. So everything kind of comes rushing back at that point?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Thank God I'm not going to attack Lady M when I see her. Oh.
Based off of your roles earlier.
Yeah.
Yarrow feels, not to change your relationship with them, but just kind of like your memories of them, you feel a lot more emotion from them than actually happened, if that makes sense. Like you feel like their emotional extremes were a lot more obvious than they had probably presented to you. And maybe a couple times where maybe a comment or a question was presented that in the moment Dianthus didn't pick up on, you're thinking back to moments that just make you curious.
Uh-huh.
You do get a feeling of, like, not quite fear. It was fear before, but at this point it's like an understanding of Lady M as more powerful than she's letting on.
Oh, yeah.
And although up to this point you hadn't named Nordia, I mean, you hadn't really named any of them,
Mm-hmm.
but you do remember the smiling, bubbly energy that, although at first might have been a little much for you.
Yeah. Still probably is.
It still probably is. But in this moment alone, and
Yeah.
specifically, it's kind of refreshing to be annoyed by something.
Yeah. Annoyance means I remember.
You do remember the wizard, whatever that was. You remember more about Dinah than you had before today.
Yep. When it comes to the brief glimpse I had with Death interfering with that mystery man earlier, is it the same wizard guy?
Yeah.
Fantastic. What the fuck?
Okay.
Okay.
And, you don't know who he is, but
No idea who he is.
yeah, he wasn't giving you.
Powerful dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do get the feeling. Part of that burn on your chest was they're similar to Bianca, right? Because when she was fighting you, you weren't really getting, full force type deal. You were getting compartmentalized attention from someone. Literally by the fact that it was three of them, but also from the fact that she was trying to do that ritual.
Yes.
Upon Death, and he was interfering. And then he was also interfering with whatever it was this morning. And you get the feeling that he was also somehow tethering you to here right now.
My man, looking out for me. Hell yeah.
He really
is.
Out.
I think, solidifying even further, Death as a friend. There's a little bit of concern because Bianca, Dianthus has, and probably will again handle. But this wizard, look, he just got his magic and he doesn't fully know how to use it all yet. He knows, I think, just subconsciously, a very powerful magic user is going to be a very tough opponent if he ever has to fight this guy, given that he just shrugged off 2 spells that he tried to use. So if Death is interfering with this guy, there is concern of repercussions upon Death if this guy decides to go there. And I think Dianthus does consider or think of himself as a protector of Death, and there is a worry, just a little bit of it, that he might not be able to protect Death from this guy.
Can you give me an insight check?
Absolutely.
On Cal.
Cal, yeah. 20.
You hear Cal mutter something that the wizard muttered. And for a moment, you see like terror in Cal's eyes. And then you see this bard try to act with you. But on a 20, this would normally be something I would like whisper to you. Like if it was like in the group, I would text it to you. But you see that Cal is trying to lie to you. But based off of the interaction that you just had, you also realize that Cal heard at least part of what he said.
Cal.
Dianthus.
Do you know who that was?
I mean,
Do not lie to me. Please.
you see probably a good 15, 20 seconds of him like internal conflict, right?
Yeah.
Do I say, do I not say? I don't know who in the literal sense, but I have dealt with them before. And I recognized part of what just happened, that moment of quite literal tension between us. My mind link was still up. And so I was able to catch. I've seen power word kill used before. And something stopped it from being used on you.
That's not a surprise.
It's not a... I don't think you understand. I am saying he
He tried to kill me.
could kill you.
Death will not take me yet.
Sometimes your confidence is a little unsettled.
It's not confidence. You have known me just as long as I have known you.
It's a pretty sweet deal, I guess.
Depends where you're standing. Whoever that man is powerful. He tried to manipulate me, and I didn't even know it. What if he's doing that to the others? What if he does it again, but he succeeds? If you know who this is, anything, it'll be something.
A lot of people, most people, are not born here. And you would know that I wasn't born here either. And the battle on the beach, where we happened into each other, those were his men. Shortly after we got here, me and members of my group, I realized that the ways of magic were quite different here than from where I'm from. And I think a lot of that has to do with why he tried to stop me. He has been after you, I suspect, since the moment you got here. And I think that his pursuit of you is a big part of what brought myself and the tieflings and the dreamwalkers and cultists and all the others.
So it's my fault.
Well,
Were I gone, he'd follow me.
I think this place is kind of like a hidden passage. I think something about your relationship with or without death has him, well, I don't know how he feels, but it would appear intrigued.
So why manipulate me then? What good would that do? Why make me forget?
Well, I don't know if you've ever gone whale hunting. But the catch is a lot easier when you get it away from the herd.
No. I see.
And in speaking with Gunnar, I do think that this is potentially something that the others are dealing with. I know Nortia was dealing with a similar ailment that yesterday, I believe it was.
Have you been affected? You mentioned not remembering Gunnar until the last second, but the rest of us.
Sort of. I don't think I'm the target of any of this, or in the splash zone. So yeah, I was affected. Let's think on it this evening. I think tomorrow we'll talk with the others. I do want to make sure that they are all right before you approach them, because based off of what you told me, or what I saw from you, if they don't remember you, you can be a little prickly.
I scare people, I'm aware of that.
That's right.
When you go, I will be with you. And I will be quiet until we figure out if they are well or not.
If that's the case, I'll make preparations. In the meantime, it appears that the sun is coming down soon. Is there anything you would like to do before? This is a lot to go into.
I'm
And
aware.
if you're going to go through with it, I just want you to know what you're doing.
I don't know what I'm doing. But I have to do something. 100 years I have sat under that church, hiding. And it's worked out well until now. Hiding isn't working anymore.
All right. So what do we do?
We get the others. Ensure that they are safe. Remind them if they've forgotten. The way you did me. And if they also had interactions with this man the way we have, if there's something we missed, something he did to them, that points in a more clear direction, we'll follow that. But if not, then I will make my preparations. And I'll deal with it. If you're right and it's me he's after,
You did say something interesting. Why then? If it's about getting you alone, I feel like there's less precarious ways to do so. So,
they're unfortunate enough to know me. I don't know.
yeah, but a lot of people know you. Even those who don't know you. I mean, heck, you reside under the most popular building in the city. Well, popular is a strong one, but you get my point.
They were with me when we fought Bianca. We were there with Zehan together. I don't know, maybe just too close for too long. But I've known you longest. And you weren't as deeply affected.
That is why it's curious.
Are you sure I'm the only one he wants?
That is what I find concerning. As you say that, Dianthus, you do remember that now that you remember who they are, when Bianca first showed up, they didn't go for you.
They went for Yarrow.
They went for Yarrow.
King, where are you? Hey, King. I think he's just gonna say Yarrow's name out loud first. She went for him first, not me. She wanted him. Do you know where they are?
I presume
Tower.
you, Yarrow. After we split up after that stint with Zehan, I would say Yarrow had a lot of shit to get through. That being frank. Probably not the tavern. Maybe to their tower. I imagine that's kind of their go-to.
I've seen the inside. They don't leave it much. But they do leave it to come to see Emrys. But I left the church. They weren't there. I didn't see them on the way. Granted, I didn't remember them either. They might be there.
I could reach out to them and ensure that we are not eavesdropped. I think at this point, and he looks kind of around the forest, and you do sense like a magical guard around you guys. I do think you're being, if not followed, surveyed in some way.
Great.
So let me think on something. Because Yarrow isn't the fighter that you are. I'm sure they're capable of whatever, but you've been at this for a while longer. You have to be careful.
If something comes for them, I will kill it. Even if they don't remember me.
It's always nice to kill for someone. I think we're good on the board for now. We can head their way. I will say at this point, play it clear. Is there something you want to do or stop at on the way to Yard?
I think before we leave the safety of this little forest area, I do want to look at the mark just one more time. I think he stopped speaking Draconic a while ago, but I do just want to check the mark. Maybe say a couple things in Draconic, maybe just to myself, to see if it'll do that again. If his thought process right now is, okay, Bianca gave me this fucking thing. She wants me dead. And now this guy who tried to manipulate me, possibly for the same reasons Bianca wants me dead, I'm thinking they know each other, or they know of each other. So if I can get to Bianca, slap her around a little bit, maybe get some information out of her about who this guy is, how he knows me, what he'd want.
Give me,
I'm thinking
as
this,
you're thinking this,
thinking this has something to do with
as
it.
you're thinking this, Icarus,
Yeah.
Dianthus, I'm going to say there are three ways you can take this.
Okay.
Either a Arcana check to kind of perceive any sort of like magical integration that you might know about or feel, a history check to kind of timeline things together since there's been so many things. Or you can do another wisdom save. And I will say that the wisdom save is for something that is not on the magical level, but it's pressing on you.
Well, that one sounds fun and cool and interesting. I want to do that.
All right, so give me the wisdom save. 11.
Here we go. 19.
19. As you mentioned to me, but I would imagine that you're processing this as you look around the ward, speaking to yourself in Draconic. What do you think you're saying to yourself?
He doesn't pray the way that I think normal people do. But if there's a saying or phrase that he normally says to or around death whenever wanting to converse with them, it's probably that, just on repeat.
Mm. As you're trying to relay this to Death in a language that you don't speak all that often to activate this mark, you're muttering, you're thinking, and that thought of Bianca's connection with Yarrow, connection to Death. You do remember the scene with Yarrow in the church when you were pulled in the gallery. There was Bianca and Death tied to a chair. And you remember two figures behind them, one with like non-distinct marks, but tall. And you do remember a man in a dark robe. And you remember in a memory of a moment that you had fought the tiefling, the tall red barbarian, in front of Bianca and the wizard.
Oh, fuck. Ain't that the guy who looked at Yarrow during that moment too? I didn't see that, but I think I remember that being a Yarrow moment.
That was a Yarrow moment.
Dog, we're so fucked. Did it seem like he and Bianca were like, not like a couple, but like a pair because they were staying next to each other? Or is it just like, these people are important, so they're all sitting together?
On that roll, I will say, Icarus, for a moment, you're pulled back in, not as forcefully again as before, but in a pure memory sense.
Yeah.
You remember the blood on your hands, and looking up into the stand, and it's hard because that was 100-something years ago.
Yeah.
But you remember a coliseum worth of people chanting Draconic. Just the word kill. And banging and clapping and applause. And you see that they are trying to, in a gladiatorial sense, sentence one of the two of you to die. And Death doesn't speak. At this point, Death is chained their wrists and neck to the chair. And they don't speak, and just look at you. You see Bianca and this wizard and a few of the other, I guess, nobles. It's not quite a kingdom, but it is a high court of some sense.
Yeah.
You see them arguing. And you get the sense that you've just messed with a wager. The wrong champion won. And somehow you didn't die.
If this man is after me because of a 100-year grudge, I'm gonna lose my mind, Caleb. Oh. I have told Cal a lot today. I'm keeping that to myself. I'm keeping all that to me.
I like that. But give me a deception check.
Absolutely. I don't think I'm good at that. I'm not. 7.
7. Okay. As you clear the clearing and start to head back to where you now remember the moon tower to be, that last realization comes to you. And Cal doesn't say anything, but you do feel, you know when someone leaves the room and they shuffle their feet to like let you know that they're leaving?
Yeah.
Or like they're coming into the room and they're very noisy with the door to let them know that you're coming in.
Yeah.
this is one of those moments where you feel the disconnect of the mind link.
Duh, you gotta stop doing
But
that.
almost it breaks, but with a small clap, and you just hear Cal humming a little shanty as the two of you start to walk back to Yarrow's tower. And I'm gonna say that's where we're gonna end tonight's session.
Holy shit.
So, strangers and friends, we're gonna have a little discussion with our players here. But thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, throw it in the chat, join the Discord, check out both of our Twitches, all the things.